Okay, all right, week 2 for college football. We have Ball State versus Georgia. I think Georgia's going to win that game for sure. We have Youngstown State versus Ohio State. Ohio State will most likely win that. Ohio State came out a little slow in their first game, which I think is fine. I think, Coach Day is going to have them moving and going, and I think Ohio State will be just fine. I think everyone's a little worried about Ohio, but I think the Ohio State is going to be fine. Delaware and Penn State. I think Penn State is looking really good this year. I have very high hopes for Penn State. I think they have a chance of beating Ohio State when they play and Michigan. I'm very high on Penn State this year and think that they could definitely make the playoff. Next is Notre Dame and NC State. I think Notre Dame, I'm also very high on Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is going to do very well. Luckily, we get to see Notre Dame play Ohio here in the next coming weeks. But I think Notre Dame will win this game against NC State. Next, you have Utah and Baylor. Baylor did not look too good playing Texas State, but they probably will make their adjustments. I know they're missing their quarterback, first string quarterback, so they're getting their second string quarterback. Also with Utah, we don't know if Cam Rising is going to be starting. So I will take Utah though over Baylor. I think this will be an interesting game. Baylor might be able to make those adjustments and play well, but I think Utah, they have the depth and they looked pretty great playing against Florida. And we don't know how good Florida is, but since it's just week 1, I'll take Utah over Baylor. Next, you have Troy over Kansas State. I'll take Kansas State on this one. After that, you have Nebraska and Colorado. And for this, Colorado looked good for sure against TCU. And Deion Sanders, he got the whole transfer portal going for him, and seems to be working out just like USC did last year. How USC was able to attack the transfer portal as well. Looks like Colorado has done the same thing. Colorado can be good. They beat TCU, so I think they have a lot of expectation, I think, for Colorado right now. And with Nebraska, that is a sad loss there against Minnesota. I think Nebraska could have won that game, but this one's a pretty tough one. I think Colorado, the crowd's going to be in it. The stadium's going to be in it. It's going to be pretty loud there in Colorado, I think. So yeah, probably bet for Colorado. Nebraska could be hungry as well and come out and beat Colorado, but I don't know, at least with all the hype and everything, and that win over TCU, it seems like Colorado might have that momentum. But this should be a pretty good game here. Charleston Southern versus Clemson. Clemson also a sad loss there, but I think they get the redemption and win that one. UNLV, Michigan. Michigan will win this one. Ole Miss versus Tulane. I think Ole Miss will win this. Their quarterback, Dart, he's great. Dart's a heck of a quarterback, and I think Dart could definitely go NFL, and I think they definitely win over Tulane here. Then you have Texas A&M versus Miami. This one's going to be also very interesting. Miami has a home field advantage. Texas A&M looks pretty great. That's a tough one. Miami and Texas. I think I'll go with Miami on this one. It's going to be a tough one. But, Texas should be good, but, home field advantage, I think I'll take Miami. So, and Tulsa versus Washington with Penix. That's an easy one, I think, for Washington. I think they will definitely win that, plus the home field advantage. So I'm taking Washington over Tulsa. Let's see, Austin versus Tennessee. I'm going to take Tennessee for sure. Home field advantage as well. Appalachian State versus North Carolina. Appalachian State always seems to make some kind of underdog win, you know, but I think North Carolina will be ready for them. Taking North Carolina. SMU versus Oklahoma. Should be a pretty good game. I think Oklahoma will win this as well. I just really think home field advantage definitely can be an effect and can help out for sure. So I'm taking Oklahoma here. Lafayette versus Duke. I'm going to take Duke. Texas versus Alabama. This should also be a good game. I hope Texas is as good as what we all expect them to be. And it does make for a good game, but I'm still going to take Alabama over Texas. So Alabama is my choice there. Oregon versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech losing to Wyoming. Texas Tech did not look too great considering that's also Wyoming. Granted, this is at home. I do think Oregon is probably one of the best teams in the Pac-12 next to Utah and USC and Washington. Colorado could get in there, but I mean, we still got to see more about Colorado. I do think Oregon's probably the best team in the Pac-12 right now. So I'm going to take Oregon over Texas Tech. Going against my home field advantage there, but I think Oregon pulls out a win there in Lubbock. LSU definitely win that game. It's rambling. Wisconsin versus Washington State. This should be a fun game. That's gonna be tough. I'm gonna take Wisconsin, even though yes, home field advantage is Washington State. I think Wisconsin will win that one. Southern Miss versus Florida State. I think Florida State will win that one. UCA Davis versus Oregon State. Oregon State, I think, is also a really good team in the Pac-12. Great offensive line, and I just don't think anyone, at least in the Pac-12, is going to be able to really dominate the offensive line like Oregon State does. Oregon State has a really good offensive line, and I think they got a new quarterback as well. So I think Oregon State has a very high chance at least getting into the Pac-12 championship. Granted, they also do have to play USC. So last game here, USC and Stanford. Taking USC for sure. And you got the Heisman, Caleb Williams. It's at USC. Stanford, yeah, good win against Hawaii, but I mean, Stanford's not the same Stanford what they were, a few years back. So, but yeah, there's my picks. So, should be a fun week. Should be interesting. Got a few good games for sure. Still kind of waiting on the SEC more to, get playing bigger games. I mean, yeah, you have Alabama, Texas. I think that's one of the bigger games. But once SEC starts playing a little bit more, and Big Ten start playing a little bit more, we'll have a better knowledge of what's happening. So, but yeah, looks like we're in for a good week and should be fun. So, enjoy the week, everybody.